Well, good morning, guys. I'm obviously in my car, and I want to share some thoughts with you that I've been turning over my mind time and again here lately. I don't have my phone on a gimbal or anything. I wasn't expecting to make this video, so there's a chance that this might be a little shaky, but bear with me. Bear with me. I might have some things to say that you can relate to. You might have some responses that might shed some light on some things that I've never thought about before. So feel free to leave your comments down below. I've let you guys know that here in the very recent past, I have finished reading a book called The Courage to Be Disliked by Ichiro Kishima. Really good book. Very philosophical, and one of the themes. I think that the biggest theme of the book is that life is much simpler than we make it. The book is written in dialogue form it's a conversation between a professor and a student. And the student is obviously young. And we can all remember when we were young and how much we thought we knew and how in control we thought we were, only to be challenged by an older individual who had a little more of a stronger grip on things than we did at the time. And do you remember kind of balking at the things they would say? It might have been your father or your mother or a teacher, a coach, but you balk at the things they say, and you might even mention to them that they don't know what they're talking about. They have no idea. And that's kind of how this student is in this book, especially when the professor tells him life is actually pretty simple. What does he mean by that? Well, mankind has been around for a long, long time, and things don't really change that much. I mean, on the whole, things don't really change that much. And yet, we still have the same problems we've always had. And we claim that we can't get things figured out. Well, why is that? I think it's because we don't want to accept reality. And we want what we want, and we don't want to pay attention to what reality is telling us. And we're willing to use things around us as a distraction, hoping that somehow we can bend reality to our will. And I'm no different than anybody else. I think every single one of us are like this, at least until we humble ourselves and give in to simpler ideas. I'm 54. I'll be 55 in 5 months. And one of the advantages to getting older is that you become acutely aware of the fact that you have less time ahead of you than you have behind you. And oddly enough, I'm actually quite okay with that. And the reason why is because, first of all, I know this is not the end. I know it's not the end. But this is when we learn so much. It's been my experience so far. And moving forward, I want to simplify my life. I want to find out just how simple is life really. I spend a lot of time working out. I'm a fitness guy. Maybe not to the same degree that some of you are, and maybe I do it in a different way than some of you do. But I I like trying to stay in shape. I like the challenge. I like the way it makes me feel. But there's a trade-off. And I'm beginning to realize a few things about myself as I get to be older. Number one, I'm not really above the level of people who can be influenced by outside forces. I'd like to say that I am, but I'm not. Social media has an effect on me like it does anybody else, even young people. And I'm someone who likes a challenge. I'm someone who likes change, and social media offers a lot of that. It really does. It's always trying to get us to level up, and it does that by comparing where we are to where somebody else is at the moment. And it's a trap. It's a trap. We all want to be remembered. We all don't. I mean, there's not a single one of us that want to think of being forgotten someday. The truth is, none of us are so important that we should be remembered in infinity. And we forfeit our happiness. We forfeit simplicity because we're chasing something that we're never going to get. And we allow ourselves to become distracted to be able to put off the things that are truly important, the responsibilities that are ours. And one of the ways I've done that is through fitness. I've used fitness as an excuse to distract myself from things that I actually really want to do. But I tell myself, this is important. This is really important. It's hard, but it's really important to do the hard things. Is it? I'm beginning to question all of it now. I really am. I'm beginning to question a lot of things. The amount of attention we give to fitness, the amount of time we give to it. I've known 90-something-year-old men who look great, who move around great, who do not work out. Because I've asked them, I've talked to them. I said, "What do you do for exercise?" "Oh, I don't really exercise." They do exercise. But they get it just by moving around all the time. They don't make it a point to exercise. They're just busy. The people who live in the blue zones of the world, the blue zones where there's particularly high rates of longevity, people who live to be 100 or more, most of those people, fitness is not even in their scope. They don't think about exercising. They get it, but just by living day to day. It's incorporated into their everyday movements. I look at my life and I realize how much attention I've given to fitness, and I'm beginning to see now that I have used it as a distraction to keep me from other things. And my body has paid the price for it. I've overtrained many times, and I feel it. I feel it everywhere. Do I really want to move forward like that? How much time have I sacrificed in order to delay happiness? I have forfeited this simple life because I thought that I had to do all these hard things to get what I wanted. No. And I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm not saying I won't exercise. I will. And it's not just fitness. It's other things. We might be using certain hobbies and certain ventures in our life to level up and to be better. There's other things that we could be doing that are much more valuable. You see, we assign so much value to things that in the long run won't make much of a difference. And the way we interpret things is what's making us so unhappy. Our interpretation of the things that occur around us are what's making us think that we need to assign certain values to things. And you know, the power to interpret is one of the greatest powers we have. But you know, in every superhero movie, there's also supervillains. And they use their powers for evil. In the end, they never really win. Because it always ends up turning back on themselves. And I feel like that's my life. I'm not saying I don't feel like I'm a super villain, but in a way we have a side to ourselves that is working against the hero that is in us. We have this super ability to interpret, and yet we interpret things incorrectly, and we assign more value to things than what we should, and we use these things to distract us from getting better. We make things harder rather than simpler, and it destroys our relationships. It destroys our joy in work and in leisure and the ability to accomplish things. Gotta switch hands now. But I realize that now. And yeah, I want to simplify my life. I want to start sizing things up and getting the true assessment of everything. And stop dedicating so much energy and time to things that in the long run won't mean a thing, or else will just hurt me. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I've been doing a lot of soul searching, and I think there's a lot of things I'm going to prune from my life. I don't think I'll stop working out. I don't think I would want to do that, but it's going to get a lot simpler. A lot. I think I've always dedicated too much time to things that don't necessarily pay off. I mean, here's the reason why I say that. I read a lot, and do you know how much medical advice is given that is actually inverted later on? New knowledge is found that say that the things they told you years ago are no longer good, and that you should stop doing those things because they're actually bad for you. We stop listening to our bodies, and we start listening to everybody else. We stop listening to the voices in our head that tell us to stop or to go or to pull back or to move forward. We stop listening to those voices and we listen to everybody else. And we think, well, surely someone else has got it more figured out than I do. We stop living simply. No more for me. I'm done with that. And it might take a while to prune some things back, but my life is going to change, because I don't want to get to the end of this life and think to myself that all that time, all that energy, and all those interpretations of things meant nothing. I should have trusted myself more. I should have relaxed a little bit more. That's where I'm at. Those are my thoughts today. You know? I don't know. That's just where I'm at. I don't even know if I've said everything the way I should. I don't know if it means a lot to you, but maybe I can speak clearer on this subject at a different time. But that's what I've got today. And I hope that it resonates. I have a feeling that quite a few of you feel the same way. And if you stop to ruminate on it, it'll make sense. It'll make sense. And maybe you can get a head start on this a little bit younger than I have. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to me. I'll catch you in the next one. In the meantime, be wise.